just remember thinking, how can I show my content in different ways? And I love to think up different creative ways to, you know, show my living room, and I can only shoot it so many ways. So apps like Life Lapse are really great to kind of spice up the kind of content you're putting out. My name's Jane, and I live in Halifax, Nova Scotia. We are currently in my house. We bought it in September. We had a little bit of extra money to do some work on it, and so since September we've just kind of been picking away at projects. I think my line of work and like where I find creativity is like simultaneously in building things with my hands and then also like doing like mini storytelling. I obviously do a lot of social media in my like day job, so I was kind of used to how that runs and thought, now I have this like really fun project that I can share, and I follow all these other people that do kind of the same thing, and I enjoy their content so much. I thought maybe someone might like want to chat about like paint colors. My entire home renovation is solely on my iPhone. I did buy a little tripod, which has been a lifesaver in terms of like being able to set up on a couch or up on the side of, you know, a lamp essentially. But yeah, it's all been done through my iPhone. I actually even edit videos on my iPhone. So I use for a couple different things to edit my videos. To do more like detailed videos with like text overlays and stuff, I use an app called Splice. And then I also use an app called Life Lapse. It's a really great app. And I found that one on Instagram. I like stop motion because it's more interactive and kind of shows you the process rather than just, you know, the final result. So one of the ones that I did was we had just renovated the room and we were moving all the furniture back in. So I showed all the furniture moving back into the room, which was kind of a fun way to show like, all right, here we go, we're starting again, rather than just being like, here's the living room from scratch. Before using Life Lapse, I had shot stop motion very amateurly. I'm sure in like grade school we did like claymation. Do you remember claymation? But if there's anything I remember from it, it was a pain in the butt. It's really hard to do on your own if you're just using like a camera from my perspective, because I'm not a professional photographer. So when I found Life Lapse, I was like, holy, this is a really easy way to kind of get a stop motion done because it guides you along the way. The one thing I love about Life Lapse when I found it is how easy it is to use. I set it up and I made a stop motion within like 20 minutes max. And I specifically love the feature. I'm not sure what it's actually called, but I keep calling it to people the ghost feature, where you take a photo and it kind of gives you a 50% or 20% opacity ghost shot of what you just shot, and then you can move your object in frame and you can see how far it's moved. And I think that's so helpful and what, you know, makes stop motion so hard when you're doing it on your own. I'd recommend anyone who is working with products or working to demonstrate a space to use Life Lapse. It's just a really cool way to change up how you're showing your content and how you're the dynamics of it. So, you know, maybe you have a three-dimensional object, you can show it always around without having to swipe to different photos. I get my inspiration largely from Instagram, other people who just have like cool houses, a lot of like French style and things that seem like effortless but cool but used and lived in and warm. My favorite accounts to follow for kind of home reno inspiration and style inspiration. The first one that I ever started following was I think his name's Wabi Sabi, and I could be pronouncing that wrong, and I'm sorry if I am. But he and his girlfriend Hannah also live in Nova Scotia, and they're renovating like this old, I think it's a farmhouse, and they do all the work themselves. And I started watching them on YouTube probably like a year ago and didn't realize they were Nova Scotia based, and then started following them on Instagram and realized they were, and I was just like messaged them. I was like, this is so cool. So they kind of gave me the inspiration to maybe start my account and do things myself. But my favorite one for style is called A Stylist Guide, and they just have like the coolest,
very rustic.
Yeah, like kind of rusticy, you know, I don't care, I live in a French, like, that's my favorite photo of all time. I don't know why. There's something about the texture and the color, so that's the vibe I'm going for. Am I getting it? Probably not, but here we are.
Yeah, you are.
Thank you, that's kind. I use the bookmarking feature on Instagram constantly. I pretty much treat it as my Pinterest board now, which I am curious to know how Pinterest is handling, because it's kind of the same thing for me. So now I have like different boards. I save, for the house I save, you know, things that are like goals, things that are like content ideas. And that's one of the things with Life Lapse, how I initially kind of downloaded it was I saw a stop motion. I was like, that's super neat. What a cool way to show content. Saved it to my content folder, bookmark. And then I go back and I see like, okay, that person did this thing really cool, or so-and-so did that. How can I work that for my own content? I think anyone can do it. You just have to make sure you're being safe and taking the right steps. And I think if you do enough research and you're not in a rush, anyone can figure anything out. And if you can't, hire a professional. Don't buy anything in a rush. If there's something you want, look for it, see how much it costs, and then wait for a deal. Or if there's a deal, don't just buy it because it's cheap, because you might want to replace it like a little while down the line. So find something you really want, wait for a sale, or look on like Facebook Marketplace or any sort of, you know, secondhand place, and then go from there. Google, YouTube. I think watching a bunch of different or researching a bunch of different opinions on a subject is really important, because then you might realize like a certain point of view works for someone, but it might not work for somebody else. So could work in a new build, but if you have an old house, there's other considerations you have to take into account. Pretty much everything in this room was not purchased new. We have a couch over here that was secondhand. These tables were Greg's sister's. Everything you see. So yeah, we didn't buy any new furniture when we came in.